I had actually wanted to ask this question a fortnight ago, but I couldn't get the references.
I see. That's the one you. Yes, I understand. Yes, right.
So my question is that we've got the references now. There are 5 of them. That whenever the Holy Quran discusses the creation of man, it precedes this account with the account of the post-mortal resurrection.
Would you please read the relevant passage?
This one, first one, I think is from chapter 38 of the Holy Quran.
No hurry, take your time.
Yes, sir.
You've got the reference now, that's important. Huh?
Yes, sir. So the first one is chapter 38 of the Holy Quran, verse 50, on reference to resurrection. Yes. That this is a reminder, and the righteous will surely have excellent retreat, guardians of eternity, with their gaze thrown open to them, reclining therein on cushions, they will therein call at pleasure for plenteous food and drink. Then before this one, after this, then we have verse 72 of...
What was the number of this verse?
Number 50.
50?
50, and it's actually 50 to 65 if I continue.
Yes.
Then after that you go to verse 72 where reference is made about creation of man. The first one is 38, verse 50, verses 50 to 65.
Yes, please.
Then you will come to 72, where
of the same chapter.
Right. Preceded by this account of resurrection. Then you have creation. When thy Lord said to the angels, I'm about to create man from clay, and then it continues. This is one area.
That's right. Now, if you give me a little time, I would go through all the verses very quickly.
Yes, sir.
And then I'll be able to answer your question.
Yes, sir.
Now, I understand your point.
Yes, sir.
You mean to raise this question on the basis of the order of verses.
The order, yes, sir.
Which seems to you rather odd.
The order.
That instead of beginning the mention of the early creation, God begins with the mention of the end.
And the end of creation.
And then it comes back to the creation. Why? It is in reverse order.
Yes, sir.
That's right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you have not read the verses preceding these, preceding the 50.
Yes, precedings of 50.
You have not read them.
No, I concentrated my mind on the creation.
I understand.
Yes, sir.
But you have missed the significance because you have not read the verses before the verses in question. That is the starting from 50.
Yes, sir.
The whole surah is devoted to the history of prophets, how they came and how they were rejected, and how the earlier people who rejected them were ultimately destroyed. Su'ad wal Quran is a zikr, starting from here.
Yes, sir.
The whole chapter is devoted to a short history of earlier people who denied the coming of prophets and denied the phenomena as itself, and said we can't believe that anyone could have spoken from outside. What we believe is this world, and that is all. That is the whole import of the previous verses. So, after Allah has finished the narration of these people, their ultimate end is described. That this will not end up here. They will be raised again. Now their reality is so obvious and known that there is no reason to prove what passed earlier. The only important fact is what end they would come to after rejection of prophets. So in the hereafter, that end is described after their behavior of rejection. Allah couldn't have started how they were created after their bad acts are enumerated. If you start counting the mistakes of someone, immediately after that, if you start telling how he was born and how he came into being, that would be completely out of order and very illogical. But if after that you start telling the audience that because he has been misbehaving and misconducting himself, this is his end, this is his punishment, that would be in perfect order. And after that, what is told is this, that man can deny the life after that. Man can say it's only a vain threat that's being meted out. But then he forgets his origin. His origin is as strange as life after death appears to him. So to prove that the life after death does exist and can exist, Allah refers back to the origin of man to point out that it is even stranger for you to come into being from nothing. While you are there, you cannot deny your existence. So if that can happen once, it can happen again. So after this, when the origin of man is discussed, it is discussed not as an end, but as a proof for the existence of life after death. Now this riddle has been solved by the Holy Quran itself in Surah Yasin. Now, it says, وَضَرَبْنَا لَنَا مَثَلًا وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقَهُ قَالَ مَنْ يُحْيِي الْعِظَامَ وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ قُلْ يُحْيِيهَا الَّذِي أَنْشَأَهَا أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ خَلْقٍ عَلِيمٌ. This is Surah Yasin, verse 70. No, I'm saying this is verse 77, 78 and 79. You can refer to it later on, I'll explain. It says, ضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا, man has started Zarabalana masal. No. How would you say similitude what? It's not saying, calling similitude. What is the proper verb for this? No, that I know. I mean, what I mean to say is, in English, when you draw attention to a similitude, what is the proper verb to be used in connection with similitude? That is what I am searching.
Symbols or signs?
No, that's I understand. The verb connecting the similitude with a situation. Propose. Yes, that's better, yes. that man has become so arrogant that he proposes similitudes for us while we are beyond his comprehension, and also denies the life after death and wonders how it can happen. So Allah says it is a greater wonder for him to be being here, because his earlier creation was from nothing. When a thing can be created from nothing, why his creation cannot be repeated from something? To create for God from something is definitely easier than for him to create from nothing. So how stupid their attitude is. They are wondering at having been created from something, while they are not wondering at having been created from nothing. This is what has been explained in these verses which I have quoted. So this question was solved in this surah, that it is always for this purpose that once Allah draws our attention to the accounting which will await us in the hereafter, and tells us that if you are a wrongdoer, you will ultimately be punished, you will be put to account, then this question automatically always arises. Well, if we ever live again, yes, but who says we are going to live again? This is the world we live and die and become dust again. So nobody believes in your vain threats. To counter this attitude, the earlier creation is referred to. It says, don't take it lightly. You have been created before. And the first creation is definitely a greater wonder than the second creation. So just because you wonder how, it doesn't mean that you will not be created again. That is the essence. Thank you, sir. Please. Yes, Mr. Chaudhary Abdul Rashid, just a minute. You came late.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was late.
Yes, of course. Please, you're sorry, all right, but how can you take the right of Mr. Abdul Rashid who came earlier? Mr. Bashir. So I should prefer him to ask his first question, then we'll give you time, right? Yes, please. How many questions have you prepared for tonight?
Assalamu alaikum, Hazur.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hazur,
How many?
there are plenty of them, but if the time allows, so I can ask many questions, if the time allows.
If time and Mr. Abdul Rashid allow.
Exactly. If Hazur allows.
Please.